To the regularly scheduled meeting of the Parks, Recreation, and Community Service Commission. We are in order. Can I have your roll call and report, please?
Sure. Commissioner Scarpetian is absent. Khan?
Here.
Patrick?
Here.
Sharkey?
Here.
President Rotfogel.
I am here.
The agenda for the April 16, 2012 meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall on Wednesday, April 11, 2012. Item 2, introductions and presentations. 2A, annual volunteer recognition. That's actually a report from me.
Oh, okay.
President Rotfogel and members of the Commission, as you know, my name is Iris Hidalgo, and I'm an administrative assistant, and I'm also the volunteer coordinator for the Community Services and Parks Department. And this week is actually National Volunteer Week. It's being commemorated with a theme of Volunteers, Passion, Action, Impact. And as you know, every April, our department takes the opportunity to thank our many dedicated volunteers and recognize them before you, the Commission. Between the recording period of March 1st, 2011 and February 29th, 2012, over 400 volunteers dedicated 10,520 hours of service to the Community Services and Parks Department, which is almost 3,000 more hours than recorded last year. It's worthy to note that we saw the number of hours in the senior meals and trails and open space programs nearly double. This is a testament to the passion of Glendale residents for their community and their willingness to get involved. The volunteer with the highest number of hours this recording period served over 1,400 hours in our senior meals program. Today we are giving special recognition to the top volunteers in our various programs. We are joined by some of our site volunteer coordinators who will be introducing them to you shortly. I'd like to begin by calling Mark Sturdivant. He's a senior administrative analyst, and he works with our Trails and Open Space program.
Thank you, Iris. President Rotfogel, members of the Commission, members of staff, I'm Mark Sturdivant, Senior Analyst for the Community Services and Parks Department. And since July of 2011, it's been my responsibility to oversee our Trails and Open Space program. As you know, with the end of our Park Naturalists program about 9-10 months ago, we have implemented a volunteer-based Trails and Open Space program, which really at this point has three parts. We do a habitat restoration program up at Deukmejian Wilderness Park to help the park reestablish itself after the station fire. We do an interpretive program once a month in which we bring experts from around the community, people from JPL or Glendale College or Crescenta Valley High School or any number of other venues to lead hikes and give lectures and present programs. Excuse me. And then the third leg of this stool, if you will, is our Trails Maintenance Program, in which we have a small but hearty band of very dedicated trail builders who are working to restore the existing trails at Deukmejian. And do you want me to introduce Jerry? Okay, great. I have three volunteers that have been really crucial to the work that we've done in Trails and Open Space. Jeremy Burnham, John Carnarens, and Peter Harrison. John and Peter can't be here today, but Jerry is here, and in fact I'd like him to just come on up to the podium. And I'll tell you a little bit about Jerry. Jerry works in the radio business. He works for Clear Channel, but he spends an awful lot of his free time up at Deukmejian, and the area that he's carved out for himself is in the habitat restoration area. Jerry and John, who often joins him up in the park, have become, for me, the perfect city volunteers in that I can literally turn them loose. They know the park, they know where the tools are and where the equipment is, and they can simply go up into the open space and go about planting native trees, and even more importantly, watering those trees afterwards. On our Saturday work days, I can literally turn over other volunteers who come into the park from church groups or community organizations and just give it over to Jerry and to John to teach them how to properly plant the trees, to show them how to water the trees, and to make sure that all of those new trees that we're putting in the park take hold and have a healthy life. And if you saw in the LA Times a few days ago, there was an article about the really poor success rate that the U.S. Forest Service is having in the Angeles forest, and they're losing like 75% of their trees. We've got like a 90% success rate, and it's thanks to people like Jerry and John and the many volunteers who come out on our third Saturday work days, who keep those trees going, make sure they're healthy and happy, and taking hold and really setting the stage to reforest a nice portion of the park. So I don't know, Jerry, if you have anything you would like to say, but you're certainly welcome to do so.
Well, I just want to say that it's been said that if you enjoy doing what you do, you don't have to work a day in your life. So I'm that way. I'm lucky both with what I do for a living and what I do with the park.
Any questions, commissioners?
I just want to say that thank you very much for doing this. And I did read that article in the LA Times the other day, and I was reading that article and I thought, well, Glendale's doing so much better than this. What could possibly be the problem? Well, obviously, it's people like you that are making that possible. So thank you so much for doing that.
It's absolutely
Thank you.
We do have a certificate for all of our volunteers today, and I'd like to invite President Rottfogel, if he could do us the honor of presenting those.
Jerry, I just wanted to say I just love Deukmejian Park, and I can't thank you enough for being up there. It just makes me feel really good. We were even worried about trees in the park, like who would water them, and there you are. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to call Gabrielle Golia. She's a community services supervisor with the sports programs.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to introduce Richard Jover. Mr. Jover is the volunteer who helps us with our master's soccer program at the Glendale Sports Complex. This is a program that Mr. Jover actually brought to us. We didn't have a program in place, and he came to us years ago and said, I'd really love to have a drop-in soccer program for older adults to be able to come and play in a casual pickup setting. So he started the program one day a week at the sports complex in the mornings from 7 to 9 a.m., and it has since grown into a 4-day-a-week program. We offer it 2 days a week from 7 to 9 for aimed at adults 50 and over, and then we have a program on Tuesdays and Thursdays aimed at adults that are 70 and older from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And he is just an integral part of those programs, and he's made them all happen. So, Mr. Jover.
I just enjoy doing what I'm doing. I enjoy playing soccer, and the guys all had a lot of fun. So it's really easy.
Let me tell you that I've been up there walking around the track,
Yes.
and you've invited me to play. I don't think so. You guys are great. You're great.
Johnny, when you do decide to play, make sure you call me.
That'll be never. He's safe.
And next, I'd like to invite Seva Garabidian, Community Services Coordinator with Senior Programs and Senior Meals.
Good afternoon, President Rottfogel, members of the Commission. My name is Sabah Garabidian, Community Services Coordinator at the Adult Recreation Center. And I'm responsible for senior programs, classes, activities, and events that take place at the Adult Rec Center. We're going to be recognizing 5 of our volunteers today that were able to come. The volunteers that work at the Adult Recreation Center assist seniors in one of the following ways. They greet participants at the front desk, they tend to the coffee station, they lead the bingo activity on Fridays, check-in nutritional meals program participants for lunch. They serve meals, assist staff with filing, teach line dancing, lead the drop-in Tai Chi class, and monitor the game room. So the first volunteer I'd like to recognize is Nick Gonzalez. He's a volunteer for the Meals Program. Nick has recorded 1,404 hours of service over the last year. The next person is Olga Guevara. She recorded 212 hours. Olga serves meals at Pacific Community Center and helps us out at ARC when we do special senior mixers.
Nice.
Next is Mr. Yegnazar Patatanyan. He recorded 822 hours. Mr. Patatanyan is responsible for the game room and organizing tournaments when the time calls for them.
Pool, you mean?
He's also one of our 90-plus honorees as well.
Oh, wow, great.
Next, I'd like to call up Gloria Tieper. She assists us at the front desk, check in for the exercise classes, and when we do go on excursions, she's our participants' volunteer leader for our excursions. And the excursions we do through Glendale Memorial Hospital, so they pick up at our locations at SPAR and Adult Recreation Center, and Gloria is the person our participants see for any kind of help. And the next person and the last person I'd like to recognize today is Margie Aruski. She helps us out with meals in the office. She comes to work 5 days a week, 6 days a week. Sometimes you might see her on the weekends as well. And she recorded 832 hours of service.
That's amazing.
Thank you. That's it.
All right, thank you.
And I do have one more person that I'd like to invite, and that's John McGuckian. He's a community services coordinator with our therapeutic recreation program.
President Rothvogel, members of the Commission, my name is John Malakian. I am the coordinator for the Therapeutic Recreation Program. I'm here to recognize a couple of the volunteers that work with the program, Audrey Martinez and Grisel Aguilera. They both do wonderful things for the program. They help with special events, they help with snacks, and they help us with arts and crafts and games and activities. So I want to call them up, please. Audrey and Grisel. Thank you.
Thank you. We should applaud them too.
Yes. I just want to say thank you and congratulations to all of you. You know, I know how busy these various sites are. I know the ARC is so busy, and we just couldn't do what we do there without the volunteers. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the work that all of you do to keep the parks and the park programs going and being so successful and so wonderful. Thank you.
They make each one of those places is so uplifting to walk into, so you've got to be a huge part of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My only comment is that, and I'm going to speak for my Kiwanian friend here also, anyone on staff that has a project where you need a lot of hands all at once, I think you can call on either one of our clubs or any of the other service clubs in Glendale and count on us to support the team and the department also. Thank you as volunteers. Thank you for all you do also.
Thank you. And lastly, I'd also like to thank all of the staff that works with the volunteers, because it does take a lot of their time to train them and to keep a record of their hours and to supervise them. So thank you to all of them as well, and thank you to the Commission for your support. Do you have any other questions?
No.
Next on the agenda, item 3, Commission staff comments.
Do you have any? Ladies?
Want me to do it? Yes. Please. Okay, if you run, you walk, you hike, or you just want to come out to Brand Park on May 6th for a good time, or if you want to conquer a mountain, our 10K is 3 miles up, about a little over 3 miles up, and then down again. It's a fundraiser to benefit Parks and Open Space Foundation, and we hope to see you get there. Again, if you want to have more information, it's runtheverdugos.com. That's runtheverdugos.com. We're already way over 20% more registrations this year than last year, so it's going to be a great event, so we hope to see you there.
Okay, and I don't have anything. Jess? Okay. Anybody else? No? What is next?
Item 4, oral communications. Discussion is limited to items not a part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. The commission may question the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision. The director may refer the matter to the proper section for an investigation and report.
Okay, I have one card. Olga Guevara? I hope I didn't mess your name up.
No, you did say it right. Olga Guevara. My biggest problem is the parking. How could we have a building right next to the library? They're taking all our parking. I mean, I don't know. I mean, instead of doing that park, they could have had parking for the seniors, or maybe even use the one across the street between the Armory and the Elks Club. I mean, they say that there's gonna be underground. Is it gonna take 16 years to get underground parking? I mean, that's all I have to say. I mean, it's ridiculous.
All right, Jess, comment?
President Rothfogel, you may remember.
All the weight.
You may remember this issue was raised last summer also by Ms. Guevara, and we did provide the commission with a report last June, which was basically an inventory of the parking that is available in and around the ARC. Of course, parking is always an issue. It doesn't seem to matter where you are or what venue it's related to. In June, in that report, we did count 214 parking spaces that were available to ARC patrons, albeit not all close by. Some were a couple of hundred yards away. But for example, we counted 13 at the ARC, 43 at the library, 60 in Lot 10, which is the alley, 77 in Lot 11, which is the lot adjacent to the Armory, 18 spaces on Louise Street, and 8 on Harvard, totaling 219. There's nothing else that we can do. There has been a mention of potentially adding parking as part of a greater master plan for the Central Park project, which is now in doubt because of the loss of the redevelopment funds. But parking was planned to be addressed or further addressed as part of that master plan. So that's in doubt now. Ms. Guevara did make reference to an underground structure. At one point, that was one of the options that was on the table as a potential. But at the currently, there are no other plans to do anything different with the parking situation. Last June, we did do a survey, and based on our survey, we had almost 250 respondents, and 30% said that they drove their own vehicles to the ARC, which is about 90 persons on a daily basis. So parking is an issue, but there is parking in the general area.
I know that there's parking, but not everybody has handicap, and it's only 2 hours. And I mean, people go in there and stay all day.
Yeah.
It's open from 8 to 8.
Yeah, that is true. A lot of the parking is limited.
2 hours.
Is there some way that we can validate in the Orange Street garage?
Well, this is the problem.
Marketplace, the
A lot of
marketplace?
people don't like to walk. A lot of people are handicapped. They don't want to walk.
Well,
I mean, I know it's available, but lucky me, I have a handicap, so it doesn't, pertain to me. But I mean, even having the handicap, when I try and go find a parking space, there's no space to park.
well, we'll look into it again, and we'll try and see if there's something we can do. Obviously, money is an issue.
Yeah, because I mean, I've gone to East LA. East LA's got beautiful parking. You go to Burbank, they got a big old parking space. Why can't Glendale have it? That's my issue.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I can ask Mr. Tatavosian if he could discuss this matter with the Traffic and Transportation section. I know Mr. Tatavosian is having meetings with them on another matter. We could fold this in as part of that agenda. Maybe they've got some ways to extend the limitations on the parking, if nothing else.
Like a permit or...
Yeah, for ARC patrons.
Another thing is, As we get older, we have to have little spaces where we can park, and there's no set, like how you park, like on Brand. Those areas don't have it. So some people come in there, they take 2 spaces, or they want to make sure that they can get out, and there's another parking space.
We do understand, and we'll try and see what we can come up with.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Item 5, consent items. 5A, approval of the minutes of the Commission's special meeting held on March 19, 2012.
Can I get a motion?
Move to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
All right, thank you.
And I'll take roll call. Commissioners Garpetian's absent. Khan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Sharkey?
Yes.
President Rottfogel.
Yes.
Item 6, business agenda. 6A, reports for information only. 6A1, monthly activity reports. At A, workforce development.
Okay.
All right. Good afternoon, President Rottfogel and Commission members. Just a few items I have today. We are going after another veterans grant. We've had 2 veterans grants already to train returning veterans to our community and try to place them into employment. This is one of the most serious problems that returning veterans are having, is finding jobs and being able to sustain themselves. So we've gone into a partnership with a group called Managed Career Solutions located in Hollywood, and we're going to pursue a $500,000 grant from the state of California. Our share would be $150,000 to train 20 returning veterans in the IT industry. The group that we've teamed with on this, the training organization, is called New Horizons Training, and they've just launched a national initiative. They have 31 locations around the country that are focusing on specifically targeting veterans and providing training services and employment. And they've identified a lot of occupations in the military that specifically relate to the type of training they provide and the type of jobs that are in demand in the local economy. So we're pretty hopeful about that grant, and it would be a great opportunity for the veterans that are returning to our community. On the negative side, we had a grant from the Social Security Administration to assist people in our community that are disabled but capable of working. And our role in that grant, we had that grant for about 6 years for $200,000 a year, was to provide counseling and advisement on their Social Security benefits, because a lot of the concern among people that are getting disabilities, that if they try to work or obtain a job, they could lose their disability benefits, their monthly benefits, and their medical insurance from Social Security. But in a lot of cases, Social Security has different programs that can help them ease into an employment situation, and we had some trained counselors that provided that type of service. There was heavy demand for that service, and unfortunately, that program was a victim of some politics and the federal deficit situation, so it wasn't renewed, and we're not certain at this point how that vacuum is going to be filled, but unfortunately it looks like that program will terminate on June 30th of this year. So anyway, that's all I have for today. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question, Don. In terms of this last program that you talked about that's not, at least this point, not getting refunded, you have trained counselors. Are those contract employees, or how does that work?
Those are actually City of Glendale employees. They have to go through a pretty rigorous training to be able to advise some of the disability clients. The Social Security law regarding disability is fairly complex, and also some of the programs, just as an example, there's a program called a trial work period where somebody who's disabled can, we help them obtain a job, and they can earn as much as they want during that year period. and hopefully they can see that they have the capability to work, and also that their benefits won't be that much affected, because the amount of money they get is actually fairly small, and a lot of people that are disabled subsist just on that disability payment that they're getting from the government. But once they see that they have that capability, and in fact that's one of the biggest barriers, is they think that they can't compete in this labor market. But we've actually, just through that one program, and the emphasis isn't on placement into jobs for that program, but 41 people have realized that they do have the capability, and when they had the opportunity to work, we did find them jobs, and they've stayed in those jobs and have come off of the disability rolls of the federal government. And in fact, this program has turned out to be very cost-effective for the federal government, and logically it should have been something that was sustained, but the administration brought it up for reauthorization in January, and it wasn't even voted on by Congress because there are other issues regarding the federal deficit and trying to preserve programs like defense programs and things like that. So in weighing different options, this program was a victim of that situation. So
So are you able to shift these trained counselors into something else, or is it something where you...
we will be shifting them to another state program that we have, but there's a good possibility we will have to lay off some other people based on the civil service rules, because it is a loss of about, I think it's $206,000 a year to our budget, and we don't have other funding that can immediately replace that.
Anything else? Okay, great. Thank you. Great report, Don. And what is next?
Item 6A1B, Human Services.
Well, good afternoon, President Rafogo, members of the Commission, staff. My name is Moises Carrillo. I'm the supervisor of the Human Services section for Community Services and Parks. And I know we had a brief report that we provided you for your packet, but I want to go through a couple of screens to actually show you what these projects are. These projects are funded by the Community Development Block Grant Program, as well as other federal grants that we've received. You go to the next. There's currently the Block Grant Program provides funding for community services, parks, as you know, recreation facilities, community centers for the city. But also, one thing we also do is provide facility improvements for nonprofit agencies. These are the community agencies that service low and moderate income persons in the community, and they're largely based in suburban Glendale, but certainly they're in different areas of the city. And I want to just briefly go over a few of them. There are a number of projects this year in our current pipeline. There's 9 community facility improvement projects that staff is currently handling. That consists of 6 Glendale nonprofit agencies, and I'll go through those pictures in a minute. These projects include community, youth, and social service centers, as well as the emergency transition and permanent housing facilities. You'll see there's a variety of projects we do with our human services staff that does provide project management for all these projects. That right now is at about $3.1 million in our portfolio for these community facility improvement programs. That includes the CDBG program, the HOME, which is a housing program, and also our Section 108, which is a loan program that we receive for CDBG. We'll go to the next slide. This one's a little dark, but I guess it's our first project, which is the Neighborhood Legal Services. And this is a project down in the Adams Square area on Chevy Chase and Adams. It is the Legal Services building, and it provides, again, the legal services for the community. But on the right-hand side, you'll see the little area there by the white car. There's actually a library there. We know the satellite library for Adams Square, which was rehab with CDBG funds. But our current project right now consists of a roofing project, and we're actually covering the tower area of the roof where there are some leaks that occurred last year. We've finished that project, and hoping that there's no leaks. We went out. That's why it's so dark. We were actually doing an inspection, and we caught a picture of it during the rain, but we're hoping that there won't be no more leaks on that project. And we'll go to the next slide. This is one of actually two projects by Home and Edmond RROT Glendale. They are, of course, a large organization, provides youth services and youth programs and also cultural programs for the community. This one is their North Campus, and this one is mainly a youth center, and it has a couple of basketball courts, volleyball courts, and we do have funds that are being provided for Home and Edmond to increase their capacity inside by providing a children's indoor play area. Well, they have an area for child care and also for smaller infants, smaller children, to play in certain supervised area while the other younger teens play basketball. But this is one of our other projects. We actually did this conversion back in 2008. We converted an empty shell into a beautiful youth community center, and we continue to use our capital improvement funds for CDBG to enhance the center. Right now we're putting in some cameras and a fire alarm system to finish off the improvements in the interior.
Where is this located?
This is located on San Fernando Road by Gardena. It's right south of Forest Lawn. This is actually in the border of Glendale and Los Angeles. This is the main Home and Edmond Glendale RROT Chapter Center. This one is on San Fernando Road in Los Angeles, again, a couple of blocks away from Glendale. This one actually had completed some roofing improvements as well back in November 2011, but I just wanted to make sure that there's two centers and we distinct one from the other by North Campus and South Campus. This is the South Campus of Home and Edmond. Again, it provides youth services for thousands of kids throughout the year, along with the other center up north. But they are very much close together and part of the large organization for Home and Edmond. Our Main Relief Society, as you know, provides social services for the community, largely for immigrants, ESL, basic referral, information referral, computer classes, a number of classes. Does this work here? This building is our main community center site, and we're actually doing a roofing improvement project. This roof leaks in the back leaks, so this is our third roofing project in a row, so it seems to be the situation now with roofs. I don't know why they're leaking, but it just seems to be the way it's going now. But we do actually have a major roofing improvement where we're going to actually re-roof the entire roof of the ARS building. In this building, the roofs and the leaks are so bad that we're actually having to do some carpet replacement and replace some interior walls and remove some possible mold. But this is our next CDBG project, about $80,000 for this roofing project. You'll see the side of the building where actually the roofing is leaking, but it's just hard to tell where exactly it leaks. It just needs some repairs. And again, largely the nonprofits do not have the capital improvement funds to make major repairs. A lot of the funds are used for the basic social services, and funding is very tight just to get those funds available. So their maintenance and their funds for capital improvements of the long term have really diminished, and so a lot of CDBG funds are used to provide the larger, expensive capital improvements for these agencies. Oh, next slide. This is one of our newer projects. I'm sure Commissioner Khan is familiar with this project. This is our new Access Center emergency shelter facility. It's currently being rehabbed to include, we'll go to the other slide, a access center, and then on the second floor, well, not really second floor, we're building up the roof area to include a second floor emergency shelter for 40 homeless persons. This will essentially take the Essentia shelter over to the new site on Tyburn and move the families here, and we'll have expanded space, a much newer site, a lot of, again, accessible services. It is currently in construction. We expect to be completed by December, hopefully 2012. you'll see this was all space that was actually eliminated. There was a whole section here that was just torn out and demoed, but we do have the basic shell. It is a very significant project for us. It's about $1.6 million rehab project that we're currently co-managing with the operators of the program. This is the second component to the housing that we're doing. We actually have another facility that was purchased by S.H. Hope and Compassion Center. They are a nonprofit, pretty much, I think it's Nick Lamb's nonprofit arm of Essentia, and their, I guess their funding to use our funding as well as matched to improve a lot of facilities. This was purchased by S.H. Hope. It is a, let me see how many units it got here. I believe it's a 9-unit apartment building at 1911 Gardena. It is currently occupied, and we intend to move persons who are from the shelters and for transition or permanent into permanent housing, which we get support services and counseling so that they can move on, become more independent. We'll go to the next slide. So we're providing some CDBG funds to do possible relocation of any tenants that may need to move out of there so that we can move in the tenants from the homeless continuum of care. It does need some repairs. We are planning on doing interior kitchen, carpeting, flooring, of course, this is exterior paint. But this will be our next project as well. Actually, it's going out to bid. Actually, has been out to bid, and we're going to look at our contractor bids coming this month. But again, this kind of shows the realm of projects that CDBG, our Human Services CIP section, is involved with as far as providing housing, community centers, youth centers, social service centers, all types of facilities. One I did not mention was the Door of Hope Transitional Housing Facility. I can't put that up there because that's actually an undisclosed confidential site, so we're not able to put pictures up there. But it is a electrical improvement project that we're, again, co-managing with the architect and Door of Hope. It's about a $240,000 project for electrical improvements, new systems so that they begin upgrading their air conditioning and fire alarm systems and fire sprinkler systems. So it's really a combination of projects that we're managing with our staff, and we hope to continue the block grant program to continue to mix of park and other public facility improvements with the private nonprofit agency to make that balance, because we do need to rely on both sides of the picture to provide their services for the community. So with that, I don't know if there's any other questions on... Oh, actually, I have one more. I keep forgetting all these. This is actually two projects in one building. This is the Glendale Adventist Medical Center. It's very much on the side of the Glendale Medical Center, Adventist Medical Center campus, I believe on the east side, and it's the Community Services Center. And that provides the senior services, provides nutrition, meals, nutrition information, and also has a very large thrift store. So persons with lower incomes or seniors can come in and get services here. The building is, I think, built in 1906, 1920, so it's very, very old, and we do have the issues of the bathrooms are not ADA accessible, so we're actually doing a project there to do two restrooms, one upstairs in the first floor and then one downstairs. So they'll have two ADA full compliant restrooms. We're also doing a full air conditioning heating system for the building. So this again will be kind of the another program, another service that will definitely benefit the senior community, but also the general community, and really more so the health information, health services that's really needed in the community. So this is our project that's currently going out to bid in May, and we should be done by September of all the improvements in that. So that'll kind of finish up the round of projects for this year. I think that's my last one, right? I don't know if there's any questions on these or...
Just, I think, a clarification. I'm pretty sure that I'm correct in saying that these projects where we're supplying money, we're not supplying all of the money, correct? For most of these projects?
Correct. There are some projects that are actually matching some of their funds. SHO Hope is providing again, even $2 million of matching funds. Some of the other projects, they're matching funds through their architectural services, so $30,000, $20,000 here for pre-construction cost. Some of it is construction, but by and large, it's mostly CDBG. But a lot of pre-construction is not CDBG, since CDBG is not eligible for pre-construction costs. We do use, they do have funds available, so yes, there are some matches in these.
Yeah, I just didn't want it to sound like we were building, replacing roofs for these different organizations or building restrooms, and they weren't supplying any money toward matching, or they weren't participating. I think that needed to be clarified.
Yeah, and that's a good point. A lot of agencies do apply for capital grants in the community, and some of the requirements are they need to have a match somewhere. So they do leverage their funds. But again, it is getting challenging for the agencies now to seek other funding. That funding sources gradually diminishing, but we still have a chance to provide the block grant program as a source of funds along with their funds and matching funds. But, okay.
One of the other things, I've worked with Jess and Moises on a couple of these projects, and something that I learned, which I didn't know because I've not done a lot of the government type projects, is just in terms of the paperwork that's involved, the documentation, having to go out for the multiple bids, all of these types of things where it's not just one time. I mean, just to pay the contractor, the sign-offs, everything else, it's far, far more cumbersome than I could ever have imagined. So it's something that goes without saying. You can put up the pictures, but there's a lot more to the back work or the back lot as this project or these projects move forward. So it's a compliment to Jess and to his staff, because it does take a lot of time. So thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Sure.
Okay. Any other questions? No? And I think that we're ready for another fabulous PowerPoint presentation.
Item 6A1C, Park Services, and he has a presentation.
President Rothfogel, Commissioners, my name is Gary Marallo. I'm the Park Services Administrator. And I just wanted to give you a quick shot at the plaza in City Hall, where we did a rehab project with a volunteer project. It turned into both one and the same. This is what we had planted in three large cement planters in City Hall. It was a gazania. It was good for 3 or 4 or 5 years, and then it starts to look unkept, starts to die out, and it's only meant for 3 or 4 years. So we decided, well, let's go ahead and change those out. And 4 college kids came to me, and they were looking for a project to do, also for a beautification project. The timing was just perfect. So we went ahead and cleared out all the planters. There's one of them there. Next slide. One there, and one more. There's that one there. So all those gazanias were in all those 3 planters, and we decided to go ahead and clear them all out. And then in the tree wells there, or in the trees there are pecan trees. They don't take a lot of water. So we had to make sure we matched something that was decent, that didn't take a lot of water and wasn't going to kill the trees. So we went ahead and picked 7 different varieties of plants, and it's in your packet there. There's statice, there's daisy-like flowers, verbena, there's geranium ivy, a lot of things that don't live, some things don't live for 15 or 20 years. They'll live 2 or 3. And those are meant for quick cover, and then the rest of the stuff is supposed to reseed itself. And go ahead and go to the next one. So kind of dark right there, but we planted the 7 different varieties in each one of the planters. You get color throughout the year. Some of those planters are in shade, and some are in sun, and it's really hard. It was hard to pick some things that would all look good during those different climates that we get at the plaza. And then we filled in all the open areas with bark. And the oak tree that's in the back that I don't have a picture of, we took out everything out and just put bark underneath it. But the 4 college kids that came to me were looking for a beautification project, and we knew it was time to take these out, so we did. And they did a really great job. Chris Peplow, one of my managers, helped supervise on the weekend. because if they hadn't come to me, I was going to use my staff on the weekend. But they came to me, signed the proper volunteer papers, and in one afternoon on Saturday, they took it all they got taken care of, and those now will grow by themselves and perpetuate themselves for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years now. So they won't have to be changed out, and you'll get color pretty much 9, 10 months out of the year.
Do you know what school they were from?
USC.
Well, I have noticed these as I've walked back and forth through Parcher Plaza, and they look beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah,
Really nice.
We were really happy with the way they came out, and even though they were small when they went in, they will grow now, especially with the sun that we're getting now. The sun is rotated back up, and all three of them are in sun. So there should be a before and after. So even though they look very clean on the left-hand side before, and I toyed with the idea of putting just bark and letting it go that way, City Hall, I don't know, kind of demanded a little more color than just bark. So we went ahead and planted them in. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. Otherwise,
You said these were pecan trees?
the trees, ornamental pecans. They don't produce, and they take very little water.
Thanks for putting the name of the plants in here.
I even gave you a little description. If you want to walk out there and actually look, you can see what they are.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. Very colorful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great report. And what is next?
Next, we have item 6A1D, Recreation and Community Services.
Good afternoon, President Ralph Fogel, Commissioners, City staff. My name is Ross Ferris. I'm the Community Services Manager for the Facilities, Customer and Event Services for the Community Services and Parks Department. Our monthly report today centers on two areas. One's the Civic Auditorium. The other is the Customer Service Office. The Civic Auditorium is actually catching up. We were down in revenue compared to last year. We now are just about even. We should surpass last year and make our budget in the next 2 months. We have a lot of nice events coming up. And we also are really pleased that the building this year, with the help of Mr. Tatavosian, we put some bollards in and some other things that have helped us up there. And we've been able to maintain the building with a new floor plan to actually take care of the floors, the hardwood floors. So we're really pleased about that. We think the building looks really good, considering the fact it's over 70 years old. The second area is the Customer Service Office. Since our last commission meeting in the last month, the Customer Service team, along with the Brand Studios team and the Civic Auditorium staff, have completely moved the Brand Studios operation from out of Brand Studios and into 3 different locations. The Chevy Chase Library, Griffith Manor Park Community Services Building, and the Dunsmore Park Community Services Building. To the public, this has been invisible, but I have to tell you, these people have worked very hard. They've done a terrific job of organizing, actually physically coordinating the move. The Civic Auditorium staff helped them move all the items, and this is everything. This is furniture, equipment, everything. So they are now installed in their 3 new locations for the next 18 months to 2 years. And I have to tell you that the class, the students that are participating in the classes in these 3 new locations are very pleased. Between our staff and the library, Carolyn Fleming and her Cindy Cleary and their staff at the library has also helped us immensely, particularly at Chevy Chase, get the building ready and provide us some of the amenities we needed to move in and be productive. So I'm really pleased about that. And I think I know our revenue will not suffer. Our contract class revenue is not going to suffer. And we're very happy with the results. That's the report. Any questions?
Great report.
Questions?
Just a comment. I'm glad that it went so smoothly, the move from the Brand Studios into your temporary quarters, and I know the library really appreciates all the work and the cooperation that they've gotten from your staff.
The library's been terrific, too.
Yeah, so it's I think it's been good for both departments, and look forward to see how the people like being in new places for a while.
Right. Thank you.
Ross, do you think that at the end of 18 months or 2 years, some of the programs that have moved will maybe stay where they are and then use that as an
We would,
command?
based upon the initial reaction, I think it is entirely possible that we, if everyone is willing to let us stay at Chevy Chase Library and use it as a facility for our contract class program, or our just to rent it out, we actually can have another facility. I think we can move back to Brand. I think Brand will be obviously welcomed, and the people will use that. And I think Chevy Chase will also be a nice site.
I'm sure with the great job that your staff is going to do, they'll be happy to keep you there.
Thank you.
What is next?
6A1E Park Planning and Development.
President Rothvogel and members of the Commission, I seem to have the pleasure of always culminating the meeting. This might be a repeat presentation, but we're excited about two projects that are now moving to the front burner for us. Both of them have received CDBG funding, Community Development Block Grant funds. The first park is the Maple Park. It's the park improvement as a phase of that campus. You may recall that we finished the community center almost perhaps almost a year ago. Now we're moving on to the next phase. The second project is the replacement of the turf at Pacific Edison, at the Edison Elementary School, with artificial turf. We sent out a request for qualifications, and we were overwhelmed by 20 responses of great firms to work with. Staff reviewed those, and we selected the top 5 to interview. From the 5, we were just blown away of their commitment and excitement about these projects. We selected the top 3 to solicit proposals from, both in terms of design ideas as well as cost. We hope to get those within the next couple of weeks, so I'm hoping that by the next time I appear before you, we'll have an idea of who we'd like to recommend as our design partners on these projects. Then we also have 2 projects that I'm hoping will be releasing for bids quite shortly. One of them are the 2 trails projects at the sports complex. We're very excited about those, getting those completed before the summer season. And the second project are the gate improvements at the fencing and the gate improvements at Brand Park and Car Park. You may recall that actually Car Park is also getting CDBG funds for parkside improvements, so we're very excited about working with the design team on that for some extensive design improvements. And that park being sort of the entry park to our city from the Eagle Rock border, we're also looking at some very creative signage at the entrance and some very interesting fence ideas. So stay tuned, and I hope to be back with an exciting PowerPoint, similar to Gary's. Thank you.
That's a very high bar.
I know it is.
And maybe next month Gary will switch places with you and let you be higher up on the list.
It's okay, I'm the new guy. I get to go last. That's all right. So I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Great.
Oh, I also failed to mention that we're organizing individual tours of our commission members of the Riverwalk. As you know, it's a very exciting project. We're very excited about that and hoping to finish it by I'm not going to say when, but fall of this year. Otherwise, I won't be sitting here thereafter. But it's a very exciting project. It's fun to see it finally coming to fruition, and just the excitement that it's going to create in that part of our community. So I look forward to seeing you guys out there on an individual basis as we explore.
And that's
project.
also a partnership, correct?
It's a partnership with several. That's been the complicating factor, that we not only have federal grants, we have state grants, we have LA River grants, Caltrans grants, and also Caltrans interruptions at the same time. So it's very interesting to coordinate. It seems very simple from the outside once you look at the plans and the scope of improvements, but the level of coordination needed with the different funding sources. Mr. Khan, Commissioner Khan referenced the CDBG coordination and the paperwork required. I think this might as well be a CDBG project with the amount of coordination and paperwork needed.
God bless you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for a good report.
Thank you.
And
Item 7 is adjournment.
Okay, we are adjourned until our next meeting on May 21st.